Paranoia is just another mask for ignorance. The truth, when you finally chase it down, is almost always worse than your darkest visions and fears. Hunter S. Thompson. Today, we're going to be covering the very curious case of John Paul Lang, a 51-year-old former Marine from Fresno, California, that has a strange and often debated case. Is it a conspiracy? Paranoia? Murder? No one truly knows. In 2015, John Lang uncovered a license plate scam being conducted by the Fresno Police Department. This scam was, unfortunately, the beginning of the end for John. While out one day, he noticed police officers were scanning license plates in a low-income area on retail lots. This allowed officers to find people with outstanding offenses. When they found one, they waited for the person to leave the lot, then followed them and pulled them over under the guise of a routine check. As Fresno is on a quota system, this unethical and illegal practice allows officers to not only fill their quotas, but also collect money that would go toward funding the department. Having been a victim of this scam and disgusted with the behavior of the notably corrupt police department, John began posting about what he experienced on his Facebook page. He also took to commenting on various articles posted by the local newspaper, the Fresno Bee. His comments went largely unnoticed. However, they did attract the attention of one source. An employee of the Bee, known as Jody Murray, logged into John's IP address. With this information, they found John's address and contact information as well, and passed all of this on to the Fresno PD. The history of corruption in the department lends credence to everything that happened to Lang following his posts, comments, and complaints. A few years prior to the license plate fraud, the deputy chief and 5 other officers were arrested for their involvement in a drug ring. When the chief was released on bail, an unrelated officer who had his gun and badge revoked confronted the man at his home. This officer was later found dead near the chief's house with a purportedly self-inflicted gunshot wound to the chest. No charges were ever laid in this incident. John genuinely believed his speaking out regarding the scam caused the police department to become upset with him. He claimed plainclothes officers were following him and harassing him. This led to John putting a camera up on his property to document his abuse. With this footage, John began a YouTube channel called LangMarine, at LangMarine 1910, which is still up to this day. On this channel, he uploaded a total of 17 videos that vary in length from 20 seconds all the way to 8 minutes. Each of John's videos has a detailed description of what they show and what he experienced before and after the clips. These videos depict suspicious vehicles driving by multiple times at varying speeds, people walking slowly past his house, and others seemingly watching the property. He believed these were attempts by the Fresno Police Department to intimidate him, as well as case the property in preparation for an assault. The most well-known of Lang's uploads shows a minivan pulling up and parking across the street from his property. The door of the van slides open to reveal a man holding a sophisticated piece of equipment aimed at the direction of John's house. John believed it was a plainclothes cop with an infrared thermal imaging camera, trying to see if he was home. Many comments believed that it was merely a regular filming rig, as Fresno is a popular filming location. However, regardless of what kind of camera it was, it seemed very suspicious. This event made John file a formal complaint with the Fresno Police Department's internal affairs. According to Lang, things only got worse from here. From phone call hang-ups to middle-of-the-night drive-bys, every vehicle and person was now suspect. A video uploaded in May 2015 shows one of the most worrying events that took place over the course of John's supposed stalking. On the evening of April 11, 2015, John's neighbors invited him over. They weren't close, but he accepted the invitation nevertheless. According to John, after an hour and a half, he grew uncomfortable and wished to leave. The neighbors bar his path and try to keep him inside. He pushes past them and eventually leaves their house. The neighbors, one of whom was later learned to be registered sex offender George Ramirez, continued to block his path and keep him from returning to his own property. They continue to hover and loudly call his name even after he gets past his gate. John believed Ramirez was an informant working with the police department and was trying to detain him while police personnel searched John's house. Ramirez calling his name was likely a way to warn anyone inside the house that they needed to leave. John also claimed that, after this, the door lock, his computer, and printer had clearly been tampered with. Subsequent videos show a variety of events. One included officers pulling up outside his property in the middle of the night, standing around for a while, and then leaving. One was as simple as a dump truck driving down his road. Another showed someone trying to break into his truck. The final video on Lang's channel, however, shows a carpet cleaning company van outside his property. A man is standing outside the passenger door of the van, smoking and glancing up at John's house. After a while, the man gets back into the vehicle and the van departs. Lang's Facebook posts became more erratic and fearful over the next few days. He began to express regret over his complaints about bringing the license plate scam to the public's attention. He was scared for his life and even asked for someone to come stay with him. Though friends and family expressed concern about these posts, no one took him too seriously, though they may have wished that they had. On January 20th, 2016, John Lang was found dead in his home. The building had been set on fire and the doors barricaded from the inside. Initial reports from the coroner claimed that John had stab wounds all over his chest and back, but ultimately died of asphyxiation. This information was given to journalists who shared it on social media. However, when the official autopsy was concluded, the results were different. 2 Fresno detectives attended this autopsy. While it is normal to have police attend autopsies, under the circumstances, it could have been seen as a conflict of interest. Many people believe that the detectives involved coerced the coroner into changing the report. When the autopsy results were released, the official report claimed that John Lang's death was ruled a suicide. The stab wounds that were found were now only located on his chest and were deemed self-inflicted. The main cause of death was still inhalation of smoke and soot. The report also stated that the body bag brought in contained a shirt and jeans beneath the body. There were no tears on the shirt that corresponded to the wounds. 2 knives were also brought in for examination that matched the 3 stab wounds on John's chest. After the official ruling was released, people who had been following Lang's story started to dig, dissatisfied. The carpet cleaning company in John's final video was one of the first things scrutinized. Lang had asked people to remember the van in case anything had happened to him, and people did. As it turned out, the company wasn't real. Another piece of information that was uncovered was John's phone calls. He supposedly called his ex-wife just before the neighbors spotted the smoke coming from his house. It isn't known what they spoke about, if they spoke at all. Despite the case happening in 2015 and 2016, it is still widely debated online. People are pretty divided in the outcome as well. Some firmly believe that John Lang was stalked, harassed, and murdered by the Fresno Police Department. Others believe his complaints were paranoid delusions and that all of his videos were simply regular events of people going about their lives. The evidence truly could lean in either direction. Because of all the bizarre circumstances surrounding John's death, there is still an active petition online in favor of opening a federal investigation into the death. Whether John Lang's death was the result of mental illness gone untreated, or a horrific display of corruption and abuse of power, we will never truly know.